our journey of Visha. And I'd like to update a little bit of what Visha mentioned about her early years as well. When Visha was, as she said, she was scarred at the age of 3 or 4 when she was in Malaysia. It's because she didn't have cognitive and eye and hand coordination. Even now she has that problem. So the teachers couldn't understand, that's why they whacked and stated, still they do, right? And that's one of the scars. So when she was in Bangkok at the age of 6, they diagnosed her, and a psychologist, educational psychologist called Robin Mosley, he said she had multiple learning difficulties. It cannot be labeled a little bit of dyslexia, a little bit of a slow learner, a delayed learning, but 4 years behind. That was already a cognitive symptoms. And he said one thing about this child, about Risha, and I still believe that's what her will and determination, he said at the age of 6, will take this child very far. And it has taken her very far for that, even at that tender age. And every 6 years we did check out with that educational psychologist, but nobody detected any signs of mental illness until a later stage. So her school success story was not a success because she couldn't get access to the curriculum. As she said, she has an assistant all the time. So I like to mention a bit of RMIT because Risha did mention, and why it was a huge success is because they gave her a lot of intervention, special how they even read passages, questions that she could not figure out if she read on her own. But right now, today I see in many universities when people have specialist symptoms, nobody wants to give them extra time. They did in Melbourne. So when she came back to Bangkok to do the fashion in the Academy Italiana, she just couldn't cope. She asked for special help. Like I said, in this part of the world, we don't give special help for children like that. So her stress started building up, even though she had a tutor coming to her place. And the lecturer said she is a very talented, skilled girl, but she's not an academic substance. She just cannot do exams. So that time her stress was building up. So she came to Malaysia to do a marketing course. She thought marketing will be easier to design fashion marketing. And she wanted to live on her own. She was 19. Her siblings were very independent. So when I had an assignment to go to Bangkok, she said, give me this opportunity so that I want to live on my own. So in spite of that, we gave her a lot of contacts and to make sure she's okay. Her sister was there, we called her up and she always said, I'm 19, leave me alone. I want to be independent. But obviously she just couldn't. So when I came back and I saw her situation, and everybody asked, why did you see a psychiatrist? When you saw your daughter like that, why did you see a psychiatrist? If your child at about 11, 12 o'clock speaks to the door, every day speaking to the door, wouldn't you think it's an odd behavior? And she's so uncapped, she's lost so much weight, and she said she's got eating disorder, she said she's in love. So that is already a very odd behavior. So when we took her to the psychiatrist, she was only 26 kilos. And she was diagnosed as schizophrenia, like our Dr. Ng said. What is schizophrenia? It's even the name, I could not pronounce it for the time because it was so much to say, right? And so what we did as a family, we did research on the illness, trying to find out what are the medications the psychiatrist was giving, the side effect. We tried to educate ourselves. And Risha was seeing a psychiatrist every week. Then after that she saw him every 3 weeks, then 4 weeks. Now she sees him every 6 to 8 weeks because she's doing very well. And then we see a psychologist to do psychotherapy, which helped a lot. They peeled and peeled to find out the core of her illness. Now she's recovering, she still sees the psychologist, and people say, oh, she looks so good, why are you wasting money and why are you doing this? Recovery is as good, as important as the early stage, because if you don't intervene during the recovery, you can go back to day 1 too. So now she doesn't see her that often. She used to see her every week, now she sees her twice in a month because she's doing so much better. Then the medication, as he said, helps but side effects. So we had to intervene, early intervention, to make sure that she does not become worse off with the side effects, like she had muscular tardiness, kinesthesia, or something because of movement disorder. And we had to see an orthopedic to verify, to say that is it the medication or is it her structure? Is it her structure itself? Confirmed side effect of medication. She had to go for physiotherapy for the last 3 months every day to make sure. And it's because of early intervention, when she get her back. But if we have left her like that and think that medication is going to solve everything, we just can't do that. And then, as you say, diabetes, high sugar. Now she's got high sugar. She's underweight. She needs carbohydrates, right? So how do we balance that? So we had to see an endocrinologist and a nutritionist. So they're both trying to help her intervene to bring her to a certain level. And so these are the things that we have to go and intervene. And then she had hot flushes. Again, side effect of medications. We thought it was hormonal problem. And she's not menopausal, she's a young child. So after testing, hormones was fine. But she had side effect of medication as well. So we had to see various people. It's hard work seeing all these people and doing early intervention. Since we could do that, that's why her recovery is better. And why does she get anxiety? Why does she get all these, she said she had diarrhea, she had vomiting, hot flushes, severe migraine. It's because of her bizarre thoughts that creates the anxiety. Sometimes like thoughts like I can share you is, like she travels a lot before because she lived abroad, right? And traveling alone is not a problem. But for her, the last few years was a problem. And we used to wonder why. Her voices in her tells her to tell the immigration officer that she's a terrorist. Tell him you are a terrorist. So they pound her that. So much so she gets very terrified. So now, good news, she went to her brother's engagement lately. Because of psychotherapy and recovery, she doesn't hear that anymore. So she can travel beautifully. And even if we go shopping, let's say, she sees people following her. Half the time we don't do the shopping. She says, somebody sees you 2-3 times at the same spot, coming towards you, she thinks they're following us. So we run again. Or she says she wants to go swimming. She dresses up so well. She sees some bizarre people or something like that. Maybe normal to us, but to her they might be frightening. So run again. Rape, murder, all this all the time. Obsession with her phone, and she thinks she's going to get abandoned. Her feeling of abandonment is always very strong. And in Malaysia, to make it worse, every single one of you speak about robbery, about the parang, and about all this stuff, right? Makes it her even more paranoid. The mentally ill is even more affected by this. So she gets terrified by all these bizarre thoughts. Sometimes she feels Michael Jackson visited her. Even Rosma comes to see her. So things like bizarre thoughts she has. So what do we do during that time is we talk to her to do the reality check, and we also do some therapy when the doctor, the psychotherapists or the psychologists recommend us, like mindfulness is one of that I find very useful, being in the now. Because ask her to not to think of the past, not to think of the future, but to think in the moment right now. But it's a lot of hard work, reminding and reminding. The other one is music therapy, has helped a lot. At the moment her voices are singing. They don't want talking to her anymore, they are singing because she hears lots of music. And then she has pet therapy. She's a little pussycat who wakes her up early morning every time and she's not up. So she's bonding with the pet. And then we have, like, as you say, the hygiene is so challenging. Every morning getting out to tell her to brush teeth, to comb her hair, it's like exactly taking care of a child. So what we have done is I do training and workshop for education. So we have a chart where we have her picture of brushing, her picture showering. So when she sees that, she remembers that she has to go and brush her teeth, so that we don't have to do constant reminder. But in spite of that, we still have to do sometimes. And motivation, what we do is like small successes. People might think that everything they do is wrong, everything they do is not successful. Little things like if she showered well, she wrote the book, she has done some stuff, for which is very